opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I'm Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers, joining you all on a beautiful Monday morning or Sunday night for the true addicts that are getting this bad boy early to draft once again all under 25 teams against one another. Connor, we did this last year, and it was one of my favorite summer exercises that we did. We take a look at some of the best young talent in the NFL, but of course, we bring a drafting style to it. So you and I are about to draft starting 11 on 11 offenses and defenses with only players that will be under the age of 25 when week one comes around.
Bingo.
So, buddy, I'm very excited about this one. Again, this is going to get heated. I remember this episode last summer, and there were times where we're just sweating. Who do we pick? Because like you and I said at the beginning of the show, we're not going in order. It's not like, oh, both of us pick quarterback. Now we move on to running back. It is a free-for-all. May the best team win. And of course, you guys are going to have to choose whose squad is the best when it's all said and done. So I'm excited for today, my friend.
I am too. This is a very hard exercise to master because there's only so much prep you could do. Like I panic texted you this morning. I'm like, dude, I can't find the age filter on Pro Football Reference. And you were like, relax, use Ultimate. And I always forget like how the capabilities of Ultimate are, even as I've been using it for 2 years now, I'm always overwhelmed by going to all filters and searching. And I could literally filter like anything in the world. And then selected ages 18 to 24. You have to be careful. Nobody's turning 25 during camp, which is a couple guys.
Right.
So yeah, but it's fun. That's what makes it fun. It's competitive. It is something that I think people love to have their own takes on, which is kind of a goal of our show is like, what do you disagree with us or how would you do things differently? So I absolutely love this show. And it's a really fun exercise to do in a quiet time of the football season.
This is going to be one of those things that we were talking about on the last couple of episodes that we want you guys to vote on whose team is better. Can we do a poll on YouTube comments? Is that a thing? We're new to YouTube.
I think only live. I want to say live.
All right.
Well, maybe not. Maybe
we'll do it on Twitter. So if you guys follow, if you guys follow the channel on Twitter, I think we're going to put up a poll. We'll probably make the length of the poll like as long as we can, maybe even a week long. And you guys can vote as you have listened to the episode whose team you think is the best. That will be the first point in the standings for this cycle. And then, like we said, we're going to come up with, I got to do something for Connor if he wins. He's got to do something for me if I win. It's going to be kind of like a celebrate the winner kind of a thing, but this is going to be one of those categories. Before we dive into this, and I think the number one overall pick is going to mean a lot in this draft. And so
we don't know how we're deciding that.
Right. I was going to say, me and you might have to throw fisticuffs about who's going to get number one overall, but who are some of the
snake, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It has to.
Yeah.
Okay. Pod on the pod.
Who are some of the players who you noticed who we could just get out in front of it? You know, instead of people yelling at us at the end of the episode or midway through the episode, how has no one picked Jalen Hurts yet?
Good call.
Jalen Hurts he turns 25 before week one of this season. The other big one was Antoine Winfield Jr. that I found.
Those are the two that really jumped out when you're doing this.
I couldn't remember if there was another one that you found.
I'm sure there's going to be throughout this podcast when we get into deeper positions. Did I just find another one or no? Give me 1 second.
Okay. All right.
Oh boy. No. Sneaky young. Okay.
Well, don't tell me. Yeah. Don't tell. Don't.
You know what's interesting too in this is like how to value rookies. Because
right.
You are going on a draft evaluation, but it's really dangerous.
Yeah.
Really dangerous. So I remember last year specifically, I'm pretty sure I took Icky at some point, and Icky had a really good rookie season, but like he could have been really bad. And you look back on it now and be like, oh God, that was a bad choice. You just never know.
Right. Yeah. The rookie factor here is it will be important because there are a handful of players that could potentially sneak into these teams. It was, like we've said, it wasn't the most talented class at the top, but I think that there are some players who could definitely get in on here. So how are we doing this? Who's getting I don't even know. Like I really, it's so hard. It's so hard to do. Number one, everybody knows, I think everybody listening knows in their brains why we're going back and forth like this. There is a very clear advantage at the most important position in football. Like very, very clear. Yeah, at the tight long snapper, under 25. Slot corner.
Is there or do we use a randomizer right now.
Look, we can use a randomizer. I almost feel bad throwing this out there.
Okay.
Because I'm the winner of it.
Then do it. I don't care.
My Madden team won last year.
Didn't okay. No, that's good. I like that.
Didn't it?
I think that's good.
Right?
It did. I think I had a Justin Herbert throw like 35 interceptions. I don't know what happened. And my receivers were Jamar Chase and all these studs, and we stunk up the joint.
So when we went over this, for the people who are listening to the podcast that weren't listening to this episode last year, a wonderful listener of the pod took our teams, put them together in Madden, and simulated the game against one another. And
shootout, by the way.
Oh, dude, it was
Trevor went like 63 to like 35 or something crazy.
No defense was played.
Yeah, no defense. No, don't draft defense. You will lose.
But my team did win, so I don't know.
Hey, no, I'm cool. I'm cool with that.
Okay, all right. I don't. Yeah. I feel kind of bad about it, but I also don't feel kind of bad about it because
no, I think it's gonna be hell for me. But no, actually, no, it's not. It's fine. I'm talking myself into it. I'm coping. This is copium. Live on air.
Coping is going to be half of this exercise. So with that being said,
I'm sitting here like Tony Montana with copium on the desk.
I'm taking Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm taking Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall in this draft. I know people who are people who have been reading my articles the past week, watching the Jags Twitter account light me up for having Trevor Lawrence like 18th on my under 25 list are probably freaking out right now and yelling at me, but there's no other choice that could be made here. Yeah, I was kind of going back to that article in a way to explain Trevor Lawrence a little bit here. I had him at 18, but man, having him at 18 of the top 25 players under 25, that was much more about the players that are already arrived in the league at a young age. So many of the players that I had ranked above Trevor Lawrence have already earned elite PFF grades either this year or last year for their position. Doubt. Like they're already mastering their skill set, and that's crazy. So I've had a lot of those guys a lot higher. Lawrence had a fantastic stretch. Really, in the second half of the season, there was about a 6-game stretch where he was playing very, very well. I was the reason why I had him lower on the list is because I was a little hesitant to give him too much praise because the last couple of games that he played, the playoff games, I didn't love him in. I didn't love him during points. That Tennessee game is the last game of the season as well. So I'm like, okay, I still think he's a little up and down right now. But in this exercise, we're building a team. We're picking guys under 25, and there's nobody that you could start this draft with other than Trevor Lawrence. He has the highest ceiling of any of these passers that you could pick from, and he's the obvious choice to me.
So Duval came for your ass?
Yeah. So the Jags Twitter account
Wild Twitter
specifically.
Oh,
well, I love Jags fans. Like all the responses, like I'm kind of like laughing as well with them. Like I don't take these things personally. It's just it's a ranking. But the Jags official Twitter account tweeted out that I had him 18th, and then the blurb that I wrote for it. And yeah, Jags fans really.
Oh, okay. I thought they were like, get him.
I mean,
they the Wolves. That kind of is a polite way of sicking the Wolves on you.
I was gonna say they knew what they were doing when they did it.
Yeah, they did.
I respect. Social media game. You got to be able to do it.
Man, they did. You could retaliate, but you're humble. You're a humble person.
Yeah, I'm also not gonna win that argument.
No, right? Probably not. There's just okay. So I get to pick back to back.
Yeah.
This is pretty easy for me. This was how I coped with this. And it was funny because I did decide this, and then I opened your article, and I was like, oh, wow. Trevor sees it the exact same way.
Yeah.
I'm taking Micah Parsons.
Okay.
Who I agree with you is the best football player entering the season under 25 years old. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's just he's unbelievable.
Yes.
And he's only getting better. He understandably is right in the thick of it to win Defensive Player of the Year this year in the opening odds. So I am very happy, of course, about getting an edge talent in Micah Parsons, who, looking at our sheet, do I technically put him on the DL section?
You can put him anywhere. So for people out there, we did an awful job, as we often do, setting this up.
Not awful. It's just hard
for the listeners. Actually, you know what? Ryan's probably gonna save our ass once again as the producer and have it set up correctly when you guys are watching this on the screen. But we're giving ourselves flexibility here. So the way that the roster is set up is we got one quarterback, one running back, two wide receivers, one tight end, and then a flex player. So another running back, another wide receiver, another tight end. Then we have two offensive tackles, three interior offensive linemen. Defense, it's set up to where you can play these guys however you want.
Right.
If you want to play a 4-3, we have the flexibility to have a 4-3. If you want to play a 3-4, we give you the flexibility to do that. So it's three defensive linemen, another hybrid defensive lineman or a linebacker, two more linebackers, a slot corner, two outside corners, and two safeties. We're also going to draft reserve players quickly at the end of the draft, a reserve skill player, a reserve offensive lineman, a reserve box player, and then a reserve coverage player too. So that's how the rosters are going to break down. So you could put Parsons wherever you want, all that to say.
He's my front seven flex guy.
Yeah, you could, right. And you could have flexibility with him from then on out. So Parsons, I figured was going to have to come up next.
My other pick, not really much of a surprise. I'm going to go with Justin Jefferson. I just want the talent here. I really want the talent.
All right.
It's fascinating because, obviously wide receiver is a good group at this age, but he's different. Like, he's really, really different. And I didn't get Trevor Lawrence, so I'm just going to try to make up as much miles as I can by taking the absolute elite talents that are available in this draft.
Oh, man.
I don't think you're shocked though by those
picks.
No.
I'm not shocked. The reason why I'm sighing is because there are a couple of ways that I can go about this draft from here on out. But if I don't go a certain direction and you do,
that's part of it.
Then that's going to be rough for me. Connor, this all hinges upon whether I think you're going to screw me over.
As I often attempt to do on most episodes of this show.
You do indeed.
I'm a specialist at that.
Oh, I'm going to regret this if I have to. All right, I'm going to pick Ja'Marr Chase.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if I was going to go that direction, but I've got to pick Ja'Marr Chase because I can't let you get the greatest wide receiver group ever assembled.
Which I tried to do last year, if I remember correctly, and it didn't really pay off for me.
So I'll go Chase. Yeah. And then I'm going to go with Jalen Carter as my next pick here.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's the stunner of the draft. I mean,
so there are obviously more established players that are on here that you could go with. But defensive line, specifically interior defensive line, when it comes to getting after the passer, is not super strong under 25 right now. Unless I am missing somebody, which I already took Carter. So if you're about to absolutely steal somebody, then maybe I'm totally wrong, but I'm going with Ja'Marr Chase for the first selection. I've got to get a wide receiver one. I can't let you get Justin Jefferson and Ja'Marr Chase and any of the other incredible wide receivers that we have here. But then I will go with, I don't know if there's a more talented three technique pass rusher than Jalen Carter, even right now, without him playing it down in the NFL versus the guys that we have under 25. So I wanted to get the pass rushing three technique guy. So I'll go, we'll go Ja'Marr Chase, and then I'll go Jalen Carter.
So I had Justin Jefferson and Ja'Marr Chase as my wide receiver duo last year.
Okay. Yeah, then maybe I just have nightmares about it.
Right. Maybe well, yeah, I mean, they're sick, and it could have been replicated this year. So I think that was a wise move.
Okay.
By you.
I'm sweating already. I'm just
it really
sweating.
Isn't it insane how quickly it just gets like utterly ridiculous?
Yeah. It's like my life is on the line, dude. It's like my family's in danger, and I gotta if I don't pick the team that wins in Madden Sim, then I never see my family again.
Granny's not getting out of the cave. Oh, it gets me every time. Sick world we live in. Gets me every time.
All right, where are you going? You're up. You got back to back.
Man, I am absolutely a mess right now. I'm a puddle. I don't even. I'm just completely swimming upstream at the moment. Okay. Homer alert. I'm going to take Sauce Gardner.
Okay. All right.
Don't care.
Okay.
He's sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't care. He's awesome. So now I have Micah Parsons rushing with Sauce leading the secondary.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. Yeah, I can't lie about it.
This is where it gets kind of, man.
Yeah, Sauce was, you have understandably so picked position group player number one on my board, because I got these guys broken up into a different big board, and obviously Jefferson's number one, Parsons number one, Sauce is number one. So I can't hate on the draft at all right now for you.
No, you're right though. The strategy is kind of playing in of like I love these certain players, but I love the pool they're in.
Correct.
I kind of shrug and I'm like, if Trevor takes two guys in front of me, I'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll be okay. So I think that really plays into it, where and why it gets so tricky. This is gonna seem pretty wild.
I'm here for it. I don't even need to hear anything else. I'm here for it.
I'm gonna take Patrick Surtain. Yeah. There's really good corners under 25.
Damn.
I think Sauce and Surtain are the best corners in football, maybe right now.
There's
an argument to be made.
Yes.
There's other players in the conversation, but like, if I can get maybe the two best corners in football on the same under 25 team, that is
so like that was part of
sick.
That was, and I promise I'm not going to continue to reference Trevor Lawrence and where I had him in the rankings the entire show, but I had Sauce at 5 in my under 25 list, and I had Patrick Surtain at 7.
Yep.
First of all, the people who were passionately complaining that Sauce was over Surtain, like, they're 5 and 7 in the rankings. 5 and 7. Yeah. Flip a damn coin. It doesn't matter. These are both just two of the best in the game, and that is where it is. Also, you just mentioned those two guys might be the best at their position at an incredibly difficult position to play. And so when I was going back and forth a little bit with people about Lawrence, some people wanted Lawrence high, some people wanted Lawrence like in the top 5, and it's like Lawrence isn't close to one of the best quarterbacks in the game yet. I mean, maybe he will be this year, but it's not like, again, this just goes back to how talented I think this young group of players is this year. And Surtain and Sauce were two of those guys who, all right, you're going back to back. I
had to find a strength somewhere. Once I didn't get Trevor Lawrence, it was like, I'm going to be swimming upstream. So let's try to make up some miles. So I'm just trying to find unique strengths.
Okay.
I think that's my first unique strength.
I mean,
yeah. Wide receiver and edge, they're good groups. You're going to make up ground there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So with my next two picks, I'm going to attack scarcity once again.
Right.
Again, not saying that these are the next two most talented players that are left.
No doubt.
But for the pool of players, this is where I'm going. The first player I'm drafting is Kyle Pitts at tight end. Just got to do it. There's no other tight end who is even close to him. I think talent-wise, sure, maybe it hasn't exactly been the type of start of his career that we have wanted to see, but over 1,000 yards as a rookie. I mean, he's still
good, man.
He's still an alien, man. He's going to figure it out, and they're going to figure it out within that offense. So I'm going to go with Kyle Pitts as my next pick here, and then in another massive surprise, I'm going to go with Jordan Davis.
Damn, that was my next pick.
Yeah, I've got to go Jordan Davis here, because interior defensive line, if you are setting up your team with two interior defensive linemen, which I kind of want to, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are, to me, without question, the guys that have the highest ceiling of this group. They're the highest impact players. They're the most talented players. And there are some other guys on this list. Obviously, you'll draft at least one of them, but those are the two guys that I have to go with. So I'm going Pitts at tight end, and I'm going Jordan Davis.
No doubt. I don't blame you at all. I was looking to get a D line because it's, once again, a group that can scare you. And now I kind of look back and I'm like, screw it at this point. It's not really people I'm clamoring necessarily.
Those will be your second and third to last picks other than quarterback, I would assume.
Yeah. I mean, why bother at this point? So, okay.
just how you're shitting on your defensive lineman under 25.
Yeah, I already told you my D line might stink. No, and it kind of puts me back in the spot of let's try to make up some ground in unique circumstances, which is pretty difficult to do right now. There are good players, but I think right here then, because I do think he has separated himself from the pack, I'm gonna take Tristan Wirfs here.
Okay,
because I just think he's so good. And this is a good tackle group. Like, that's why I wasn't going to do this. But I do think Wirfs is on a little bit of a different level than the entire tackle group, which I know you agreed with looking at the article and how you stacked them as well.
Yep. Totally did. And Wirfs is somebody who just the consistency, man, has been there for him. I mean, he even took a step up in elite pass protection. Now, of course, the question is now Brady's no longer his quarterback. Brady had one of the fastest times to throw. One of the fastest time. I'm an idiot. One of the fastest time to throw of any quarterback in the NFL. And that is objectively going to change with them going to Baker Mayfield. So,
right.
How much of Tristan Wirfs not giving up sacks, not giving up pressures was Brady getting the ball out quick, or was it really him being a pass protecting technician? I think it's a little bit of both. I think the truth is in between, but it doesn't take away anything from the fact that he has had an unbelievable start to his career already. And he's just straight up one of the best offensive tackles in the NFL, regardless of age.
So my next pick, talking about building strengths on strengths, this player is severely underrated coming into the season, where people might not get as excited about me initially, and I think that'll look a lot better a year from now. I'm going to take Jaelan Phillips.
And
Yeah, I had to find it, once again, some kind of advantage somewhere. Now I have Micah Parsons and Jaelan Phillips. The edge group is like, it drops off. It does.
It does drop off.
But it drops off a little bit. And Jaelan Phillips was really, really good last year. And I think under Vic Fangio, I know in PFF, he had an 88.6 pass rush grade. I mean, he might be one of the bigger, like, plays to make a giant jump this year. He is 23 years old. I'm jacked up about the pass. Like, you got the interior going, but I got the edge guys firing with Parsons and Jaelan Phillips.
Man, Phillips would have been next for me. He would have been in that next group, because I was going to put together a defensive line that I was thinking I was clearly going to win that group. So Phillips is fantastic, man. I remember I had him as edge 1 in the draft when he was coming out a couple of years ago. He just can do everything. He can win with strength. He can win with speed. He can win with flexibility, even for a player of his size. Super impressive. And I think that his rise is really underrated right now. There's a lot of other talking points coming out of Miami, whether it was Mike McDaniels as a head coach, obviously what was going on with Tua, the Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, the connection at wide receiver. Like, there were so many other things that you could have talked about with Miami that I felt as if Jaelan Phillips' ascension last year was not talked about enough. So love the pick there. I thought that was a really great pick. And you got a good defense.
Have to stop Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, you do.
And Jamar Chase. Imagine that. Oof. Well, it's kind of dumb to say because Joe Burrow is better than Trevor Lawrence. So it's like, no, I can't imagine that. Jamar Chase, that's a great quarterback.
That's fair, actually. That is fair. All right. Do I go after Scarcity again? I think I need to.
That's how the beginning of the draft tends to go, unless you just see an elite talent.
Right. I'm going to get Creed Humphrey at center.
Nice.
I'm going to take Creed. And then I think I'll go Trey Smith. So I'll go both Kansas City Chiefs here.
Yeah.
With the interior offensive line selection. Creed will play center for me, obviously, and then Trey's going to play one of the guard spots for me. So I'll go back to back there. There are other players that you'd be okay with, and I know that you're going to be okay with drafting at these spots, but for the reasons that you mentioned with these other positions just being so deep, kind of want to touch on those two players. And Creed, he was super high on that article list that I have because, dude, I mean, what more could you want from him? He's graded out as an elite center in both of his first 2 seasons. He's awesome. He is clearly the best in a group that you may be okay with the other guys. He's clearly the best. So we'll go with the 2 Kansas City Chiefs offensive linemen here, Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith.
All right, so I think it's going to surprise you a little bit, but my next picks
Okay.
are going to be CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play, obviously, Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb in my wide receiver spots, Waddle in my flex, total flex spot.
Yep.
Because I'm understanding that I am not going to have a Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, and I need my weapons to be truly elite difference makers to get the ball in their hands. And I love that trio. I mean, Waddle last year is what, a 23-year-old, had over 1,300 yards. We know Lamb and Jefferson are just unique, dominant threats in the NFC.
Mm.
There are still good wide receivers, but I really need to step it up a notch, knowing that I'm a step behind at quarterback. So Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle are my it's 11 personnel for me.
I almost did that. Instead of the offensive lineman, I almost was just like, we're going full Madden here. We're airing it out. I'm getting all those guys plus Kyle Pitts. I'm gonna make so one of us was gonna get an absolutely terrifying wide receiver trio.
I couldn't let you do it with Lawrence. Like, then I'm just screwed. It doesn't matter if I have 8 Sauce Gardners and Surtans out there.
Well, I think if you had 8 Sauce Gardners and Surtans, I think that you actually might be okay. But
run defense might be a problem. But man, we're gonna cover the hell out of everyone.
You definitely would. Okay, so got those wide receivers off the board, and I love it, man. I think that Jalen Waddle took a big step forward this year.
Oh man, is he good?
The previous year, it felt like they were just using him kind of as an underneath player. They were like, "Hey, you're super fast. Let's get you those yards after catch." This year, it was different. This year, I thought that they really allowed him to develop a better route tree deeper down the field. They got the most out of that deep speed with him, too. And CeeDee Lamb, kind of the same thing, right? Amari Cooper's out of there. He's taken over as that wide receiver 1. And he's a player who had a lot of success in the slot, but now he's also shown that he could have success on the outside, too. So Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Waddle are 3 players now that I know that this is kind of it's truly a fantasy roster that we're putting together, but that would be terrifying to try to guard because all 3 of those guys can play all 3 wide receiver spots at any point in time. So,
you're damn right.
Yeah, that's a really nice trio that you have there. All right, where am I going with this next
one? I'm currently sitting here like in a puddle of sweat because I think I'm going to get sniped, and I might have not screwed up because I've just loved that trio I've gotten, but I'm nervous on this round. It is what it is, but
I'm trying to think of where you think you're going to get sniped.
Although I'm being a little dramatic, but I think it might happen here.
Can I draft Tyler Smith as a guard? Because he played left tackle a lot last year.
No.
Fill in for Tyron Smith, but he's supposed to be a guard for you.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I totally think if a guy has position flexibility that we've seen with our eyes, then he gets it in the under 25 draft. Okay. Remember, like you are developing a team here. You're not just like playing total. Like, you have scheme in mind, you have player development in mind. That's completely fair.
So, I think I'm gonna go.
He's a killer.
Tyler Smith as one of my selections. That rounds out my interior offensive line, and my interior defensive line is also rounded out. So I'm pumped there.
He's got his thinking cap on, folks.
I'm going to go Nakobe Dean at linebacker.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tyler Smith. Oh, I have Trey Smith and Tyler Smith. Hey, what do you know? Look at that.
An offensive line full of Smiths.
Just the Smiths. It's just Agent Smith offensive line.
Creed and Smith firm.
Smith and Creed.
Yeah, there you go. Better call Smith and Creed.
So I'm happy that I'm rounding out my interior offensive line and my interior defensive line. And then linebacker, I think there's a handful of options that obviously we could go with. But Nakobe, man, you go back to what he was able to do at Georgia, and it's just special impact stuff, that national championship season. And I think that a time is certainly coming where he is going to elevate the middle of that Eagles defense. He's going to have a similar type of impact as a communicator, as a guy who could be all over the field. He's got the athleticism. He has that recognition. So, of course, yeah, he's a little bit smaller. He's a little bit limited physically. He's got the injury history, but I just think that this guy is so talented. So I wanted to make sure that I got Nakobe Dean. I know you like him a lot. I wanted to get him as at least one of my linebackers here because I'm probably going to play nickel-based defense anyways because everybody is. But Tyler Smith and Nakobe Dean as my 2 selections here.
Yeah, I would say you're probably going to play nickel because my 11 personnel is never coming off the field.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So the player I was worried you would snipe was Nick Bolton at linebacker.
Ooh, okay. All right.
I knew you were going to take linebacker.
Bolton was 2 for me. Like I had Dean 1, Bolton 2, and they were right there for me. So
yeah, so I had to take Nick Bolton because linebacker is a very scarce position.
Yeah,
truly. In this, and that becomes quite the problem quite quickly. And that's kind of my thought process for the next one. And this is a little projecting here. It really, really is. And I thought he was good last year, but I think he can be maybe great this year. And expectations are to be great. And once again, this is a position, serious scarcity. I am going to take Kyle Hamilton at safety.
Oh, okay. All right. He's the guy who I thought of other than Nakobe Dean. Maybe going.
It's definitely one of those, like, he'll probably be a bottom 5 player on this roster based on talent because there's so much damn talent.
Mm-hmm.
But it goes back to your thought with interior D-line. There is not much at safety here. There really isn't.
No. No, you're right. And Hamilton is somebody who I was looking up different position snap counts for these guys at safety because, of course, like we call guys safeties, but okay, are you a single high safety or a box safety? Are you playing slot? What are you doing? And Hamilton was one of those guys who can play a lot of different ones for you. Like he could play free, he could play strong. He played in the slot a lot for that Baltimore defense last year. So he's got a ton of versatility there.
They gave away Chuck Clark, gave him away. So they were like, it's Kyle Hamilton's time.
Yeah, they were very, very comfortable with that. Okay. I can't have you snipe this player from me. So I think, what positions do we have that are the same now? We have one, or that we both have open. We have running back.
Yep.
We have one offensive tackle spot. We don't have an edge spot. We have one linebacker spot, a nickel corner spot, and a safety spot. Okay, I'm going to go with J.C. Horn.
Nice.
Because I cannot let you get J.C. Horn as your somehow.
I thought about it. I really did.
Sauce Gardner, J.C. Horn, and Patrick Surtain would be absolutely sick. I didn't have J.C. Horn on my top 25 under 25, and honestly, hand up, mistake. He should have been on there. I should have had J.C. Horn on there. He is that talented, even with the time that he has missed from injury. He's going to be one of the best young corners in the game. I should have had him on there. So I'll go with Horn. All right, I'm going to go with Talanoa Hufanga as my other safety here because
it's a fun pick.
I felt as if Hamilton and Hufanga were the top 2 safeties to get. And then there's a handful of guys that I think are good that you'd be okay with. But for what Hufanga was able to do as a true like middle of the field impact player, that was pretty unmatched versus the guys that he was compared against last year. So we'll go 2 secondary spots. We'll get J.C. Horn to make sure you don't have an just absolutely sick cornerback trio, and then we'll go Hufanga here as well.
Okay, it puts me back on the clock. Man, it is getting it's getting pretty tricky here.
Well, now we're at the point we don't have many overlapping.
No, there's not, like, the strategy at play isn't insane.
Still honestly have a corner spot open, still have a linebacker spot open. Still both do have a safety spot open.
Yep.
Tackle and then running back are the two that we have open right
now. I'm gonna take Jonathan Taylor. I just think that he is just
clear
number one, great player. The Colts had everything go wrong for them last year. He's gonna remind everybody this year, healthy, better quarterback situation, we think. Rejuvenated, new coaching staff. Jonathan Taylor's a great player. And it goes back to me not getting Trevor Lawrence, trying to one up you as much as I can at other positions on offense that I can gain any kind of competitive advantage. I mean, really, that's what it comes down to. And then it gets really interesting, man. It really does. Now we're once again back in that strategy mold. Because I'm looking at some players and I'm like, can I play them in that spot? Man. I don't want to say I'm stuck. I'm just like really, really torn here. I am going to take Rashawn Slater.
Okay.
And just have, like, the tackle group is really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
But Wirfs and Slater as my bookends. And it fits. Slater plays on the left in this situation. Wirfs stays on the right.
Yep.
Instead of bouncing over. So I like the compliments there.
No, I wondered who was going to take Slater next, because I think that Slater, I don't want to say is the obvious choice, because I mean, now that offensive tackles are off the board, like, you know, Penei Sewell is there, Christian Darrisaw is there, Andrew Thomas is there.
Thomas is great.
Right. Like, these are all, Ike Ekwonu obviously is still there as well. So there's a ton of guys that you could still believe in, but I still thought Rashawn Slater was going to be that next guy. So who's going to take the bait on it? Obviously you do here. So was that 2 picks for you? Or
that was 2 picks. Yep.
Oh, yeah, you went Taylor. Yeah, you went Taylor and then Slater. Don't have many open spots left. I'll attack 2 of the open spots that we have. I'll draft Devin Lloyd as my other linebacker.
Okay.
And then I will take Tyreek Woolen as my other outside corner.
That's a fun pick.
Yeah. So 2 young defensive guys, obviously Lloyd is still kind of coming along. It's tough to step in right away as a linebacker and really look that good. So that you just have so much on your plate. You're trying to be a communicator, especially for that Jags defense that didn't really have a leader outside of him at the second level. So I felt as though his first season was fine. There were flashes, there were struggles, but I still think that he is going to be a really good football player. And then, Woolen, because again, I don't want you to just have this freakish secondary that I can not pass the ball against, despite getting Trevor Lawrence at number 1 in this draft. So,
okay. So this is where it gets kind of tricky. Once again, I'm looking at like some really rough groups for this exercise and just trying to plug the holes. Obviously, that was the thought with the Bolton and Kyle Hamilton pick. And you could tell I'm like trying to filter through Ultimate right now, and it's just like overloaded. It's like, what the hell are you doing?
They're like, what exercise are you doing?
Yeah, what the hell are you doing? Okay. So, man, dude, it is like it gets rough out here. Dude, I need to check an age too.
I haven't sweat this hard since Verdansk was the map in Warzone, honestly.
God. Oh, what a sweat that was. That was the last time I played Warzone.
With good reason.
Yeah, good reason. Okay, this is a stock exchange favorite.
Oh!
Stock exchange favorite, coming off a little bit, maybe, I guess, of a down year, but I still believe in him. And this position group kind of stinks. I'm going to take Cam Curl here.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's a stock exchange favorite.
Yeah, Cam's awesome. Cam's great.
He's a good player. The safety group, God, it's pretty bad, just being honest here. Like, the more you get into it, deeper
one
and
guy
deeper.
that I'm a K for who's going to make
okay.
But
okay, I like to hear that. I really do. Now I'm gonna
Cam's been super steady. It hasn't been a good secondary group for Washington,
and that's why they invested so heavily into it.
Yeah, it's super up and down at best. 2 early draft picks this year in Tre'Davious Martin and Emmanuel Forbes, but Curl is one of those players who makes a ton of sense as a reliable dude, as a strong safety type. So he still gives you the ability to move Kyle Hamilton around a lot on your team. So I like that Cam Crow got drafted here. That's appropriate, I think.
So I have a sneaky one for my next one. I thought this guy was really good last year.
Okay.
And he kind of salvaged me in a spot that I thought I was doomed at. How about Christian Barmore?
Oh, yeah.
On New England.
He had to be one of the top 4 players that we were going to draft at interior defensive line. So
he's very good.
Yeah, he is. He is.
I know he's been
steady.
banged up at times, but I really, really like Barmore and think he's somebody that I could walk away with and go, okay, my D line will be okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Cam Curl and Barmore.
Only other spot that we have open now is nickel corner.
Right.
All right. So there's a player that I have ranked higher, and then there's a player that I think is a better nickel corner.
Interesting.
Actually, I think I'm gonna open.
You're abandoning ship?
No. I'm opening up Ultimate really quick because I've got to see where this player played, because if they did not play in the slot at all whatsoever, and I will obviously break this down in a second.
That's the tricky part.
Then it's like, I don't know.
I wonder if we're looking up the same exact player.
If we are, just send it over to me. No, I'm just kidding. Let's see. Okay. Because
I'm laughing at the snap total I just found.
Oh no, folks. Oh no, it's all going to hell. Where? No, I don't want to. Why am I looking at special teams? I don't want to look at special teams. I want to look at coverage, player position. This is great podcasting.
We're at that point of the draft, folks. Sorry.
Okay. All right. We're okay here. Okay. That's better than I thought. That's more slot snaps than I thought.
We didn't look at the same player then.
Oh, we did. All right. I don't think this guy played slot, but he's better. Son of... No, this guy played absolutely no slot.
Oh, maybe we are then.
Son of a gun.
If you don't do it, I'm doing it.
I'm going to pick Tyson Campbell.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, definitely not a slot.
Right. I'm gonna pick Tyson Campbell, and we're gonna figure it out who's better at playing in the slot versus the outside. Shoot, maybe we could just have JC Horn roam around and play the slot, because I have a ton of faith in JC Horn to be able to do that. But I was debating between Tyson Campbell and Trent McDuffie. And McDuffie's played a lot more in the slot than Tyson Campbell has. Campbell is basically an exclusively outside corner. So maybe he ends up playing outside corner for me. But those are the two guys that I was looking at. Hey, I had AJ Terrell on the board as well. Like I was thinking about Trevon Diggs too. Yep. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Tyson Campbell here because he had such a fantastic year last year. Maybe it's a little bit of recency bias over Terrell, who was an elite corner 2 years ago, not a very good corner this past year. So I just go with a guy who is, I think, playing at a higher level right now, and Tyson Campbell.
So you have your 3 corner spots taken.
I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, once again, we're kind of at the point where it doesn't fully matter here.
It doesn't anymore. I think with it, we're all accounted for. Because we can't pick our reserve players until all the rosters are filled.
Yes, of course. So I'm going to take Tyler Linderbaum to play center.
Yeah, knew you would.
Yeah, no surprise there. Easy one for me. And then I am going to take Trevon Diggs to play as my third corner. He's probably the one that's going to go to the slot. I was torn between Asante Samuel Jr., who played 9 snaps in the slot.
Yeah, that I didn't even think about Asante.
He was the guy I thought he's the one I thought we were Googling together.
Yeah.
And I liked him, but I'm going to take Diggs. Diggs, Gardner, Surtain are my corners. Linderbaum at center.
How many snaps did Diggs play in the slot?
Probably barely any.
Let me look. I'm
not really a guy I would see traveling like that.
Yeah. Where is he?
I'll find it though.
Trevon Diggs. Let's see. Where are you?
I would think not a lot unless he's going with somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, I put 100 targets. That wasn't very smart.
He played 58 snaps in the slot versus 1,147.
I'll take it.
Oh.
Better than 9.
We just did the same thing with Tyson Campbell.
Oh, okay.
Campbell.
You know where to go. If I say slot, you know where to go. Cool.
That's more than 9. That's my favorite quote from this episode.
Okay.
I said 58 and you were like,
I was so
that's
excited.
Good.
So excited, man. Like a pig in shit. I was like, thank God. More than 9.
58. I bet all of those came in like one game too.
Oh, he probably had to trail somebody. They're like, all right. Well, the next position I'm looking for is complete hell. You're up, by the way, so which is great because boy, do I need the time.
I want to see the slot snaps that he played by game. Okay, that's gonna
just grinding ultimate film
to look up. All right, back on the rails. Serious podcasting. I get 2 edge spots. I guess I could take my 2 edge rushers now. I'll go Aiden Hutchinson and Chase Young. Those are the 2 edge rushers that I am going to go with.
Good group.
I certainly have faith in Hutchinson, who, as the year went on, it just felt like he was getting better and better, creating more pressures, getting more backfield production. I think that he's just going to be a really good pro in this league. Young, one of the most productive pass rushers we've seen in college when he was coming out. Former number 2 overall pick. Played somewhat well in spurts before the injury, but it just never felt like he really turned it on and was like crazy dominant. Certainly that has to happen this year since Washington did not pick up the 5th-year option for him, and this is his last year before hitting unrestricted free agency. So either way, whether he's still in Washington next year or whether it's somewhere else, if he wants to cash in big time, this is the time to do it. He was still coming back from the injury last year, so it's a little bit understood why he wasn't able to dominate, but this is the year. It's almost like his career's not over, but it's put up or shut up time right now for Chase Young. Like, are you going to really elevate into that dominant pass rusher that teams are going to want to pay a lot of money for to get on their team? Or is he going to be, I'm not saying that this is the exact same kind of player, but are we going to talk about Chase Young the way that we talk about Jadeveon Clowney, where you go, man, a super athletic dude, really great build, high floor of a player, but like he just cannot take that next step into being that dominant. Again, it's not apples to apples with Jadeveon Clowney, but it's kind of like Clowney was drafted number 1 overall. Chase had all of this hype going into his draft, going number 2 overall. We're going to talk about him in that light, or is it going to be a much better one? So Aiden Hutchinson and Chase Young as my 2 edge rushers. And I have faith that it will be the latter. I have faith that we will be talking about Chase Young as one of the best young pass rushers in the league soon.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I think that's exactly where I would have went too. And there's good value there. I mean, yeah, it's not like you're like, oh God, I just need a body out there. You actually feel pretty good about it. Okay.
Right.
So my next pick, I'm actually like very content with this. I thought it would be worse. I'm going to take Pat Freiermuth.
He's the only other one that made sense.
Make sure we don't have a birthday issue.
To me.
We don't.
No.
He turns 25 in October. We're good.
Yeah.
So Pat Freiermuth at tight end. I like Freiermuth. And then start to look at the offensive line here. I'm going to go with Quinn Miners.
Oh, nice.
At guard.
Okay. Yep.
He's
I had him on the big board.
Very good.
Yeah.
I feel like very good.
Yep.
So Quinn Miners at guard next to Tyler Linderbaum with Wirfs and Slater at tackle. One more interior offensive lineman is left for me to pick.
Yeah, I'll stick with offensive line as well. I'll just go my 2 offensive tackles. Andrew Thomas is going to play left, and Penei Sewell is going to play right.
Nice.
Thomas was elite this past year. He's fantastic. He was my OT1 back in that super talented draft with him and Tristan Wirfs and Mekhi Becton and Jedrick Wills. Like, I had Andrew Thomas as OT1 in that draft, and he really struggled his first year. But this past year, the light completely came on for him. He knows how to win with power, finesse. He's got great balance. He's understanding pass rush moves now at NFL speed. So really great year this past year. And I think it's only going to continue for him. And then Penei Sewell, Sewell has been solid these last 2 years, but he still struggles with penalties a little bit. However, I do think that like year 3 jump for offensive tackles is very real, especially for a player who, remember, is as young as Penei Sewell is. I'm pretty sure Penei Sewell is still 22 years old. He's 2 years in the league. So I think that it could be an absolutely dominant season for him coming up as he continues to take that next step forward. And even what we've already seen from him is fantastic right tackle work. So I'll go with Andrew Thomas and Penei Sewell.
Okay, so I have one more D-line spot to fill. We are going back to the Eagles for the third time. Trevor took Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. I'm going to take Milton Williams. It is wild. Yep. It is wild, the talent they have. I mean, stupid. They just lost Hargrave, who got a monster deal. And they're still trotting out Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Milton Williams. Milton Williams' tape is really, really good. He's a guy that could explode this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then to round out my interior of the offensive line, I'm going to take Elijah Vera Tucker.
So when you picked Miners, I was like, is he not gonna take AVT?
Of course I'm like AVT's biggest fanboy.
Because I had AVT ranked ahead of Miners, and I like Miners. I was comfortable getting him in this draft, but when you picked him over AVT, I was like, did he?
No, I just knew it didn't matter, right? Like it just didn't matter.
No, you Royal Rumbled it. He's entry number 30.
Yeah, 100%. That's a good way to put it. Yeah, so that rounds out my offensive line and defensive line. We're getting pretty close to the official rosters here, and then we'll go to reserves.
Okay, I will save the suspense with who my wide receivers are going to be for my last 2 picks. At free safety, I'm going to go with Javon Holland. Javon Holland was the other safety. He's very good.
Great pick.
Yeah,
I forgot him. Good
Javon
pick.
Holland was the other player who
good pick.
Played really, really well his first season. Like
he's
almost
awesome.
Had an elite coverage grade as a free safety his first season. This past year wasn't as strong, but coverage grades and just coverage play in general, very volatile year to year. So he is still a really talented player and one of the better free safeties that I had to choose from in this draft. So I'm pretty pumped getting him there to play next to Hufanga, who could play more of that strong safety over the middle type of enforcer role. Running back. I'm going to pick Bijan.
Oh.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it had to be done.
I'm going to pick Bijan. I'm taking Bijan over both Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. It's tough to do with the years that those two players had. But
I would have done the same.
It's when I made these rankings, I clearly had Jonathan Taylor number 1. And then I had Bijan Robinson at number 2. I get it. I know he hasn't played it down to the NFL yet, but
doesn't matter.
Supremely talented.
Doesn't matter.
So Javon Holland and Bijan Robinson here.
All right, so for my last linebacker spot, I'm going to the rookie as well.
Okay.
I'm going to take Jack Campbell.
You son of a gun.
I mean, he's an awesome player. He absolutely justified, in my opinion, as a top 25 selection.
Mm-hmm.
And the linebacker group is kind of cheeks, to be honest with you. Like it really, it's really bad. I mean, and I think Campbell's going to be really good. So Nick Bolton and Jack Campbell in the middle. And I saved my quarterback pick for last to build the suspense. What do you think I'm doing here?
Oh, it's one of 2 options, right?
Okay.
I think it's either Justin Fields or Bryce Young. That's what I think.
Yep.
Okay. Now, this is all due respect to, I would say, Kenny Pickett as well, who had a really nice end to the season last year. But
sure,
for as much as I was impressed with Pickett in his rookie season, and I think that he's going to continue to play good football. To me, it had to come down to these 2 guys. If you got Trevor Lawrence, those were the 2 that I was going to debate between.
And honestly, this is really hard. It is, because if this team was playing a game today, I feel better about Fields. Like his rushing element and playing in an offense with this kind of talent to improve as a thrower really, really intrigues me. But I was so high on Bryce Young.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make my pick, and then I want to hear what you would have done.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Bryce Young.
Okay.
And this is really hard. It really, really is. Because I like Justin Fields. I liked him in that draft. I thought he took huge strides last year, specifically as this game-breaking threat with how he could take off. And I saw some strides as a passer with not a lot of talent around him. I think this is more to me about what I think Bryce is going to be than about Justin Fields. And some people won't like that and won't agree, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. That's why people talk about football. They disagree all the time.
Right.
I saw Bryce Young not this far because of the size, but closer to a Joe Burrow prospect than the other end of the spectrum. And I can't say that and then not take him here. I think he is going to be such a great passer in this league, as long as that frame can hold up, that I'm very comfortable taking him in this spot before he's ever played a snap in the NFL.
I also would have picked Bryce. Young. And again, a lot of the same points that you made. I like Justin Fields a lot.
Right.
There is certainly reason to believe that his offensive line and his cast of players to throw the ball to has not been good enough, but neither is he as a passer. So I think I have more faith in Bryce Young to become a dominant passer in this league than I do Justin Fields. But of course, Justin Fields' rushing element goes into it and what they are overall as a quarterback. So I don't know if there was really a wrong answer here, but
I don't know if there's a wrong answer.
Would have gone with Bryce Young as well. If you guys are really convicted in the other area, if you would have said Justin Fields had to be one of these two picks, we'd love to hear it in the YouTube comments. I got 2 spots left before we get into the reserves.
That Jalen Hurts couldn't qualify. It would have been so easy. Hurts and Lawrence being the quarter.
Well, if Jalen Hurts was eligible in this draft,
you take him first, right?
Who? What do you mean?
Do you take Hurts over Lawrence?
Yeah, I definitely would. I definitely would have taken Hurts over Lawrence, but I wonder.
That's another good combo.
I wonder when we would have drafted them.
Great point, because it's so close. You're like, right. Oh, I didn't get Jalen Hurts. I get Trevor Lawrence. Oh, I didn't get Trevor Lawrence. I'll take Jalen Hurts, who just was amazing in the Super Bowl. Yeah. So it was good and bad, right? Like, that strategy would have been very intriguing, but also this strategy was very intriguing as well.
If Hurts was eligible, I think what would have happened in this draft is you and I would have gone back and forth. I think Parsons would have been the number 1 overall pick, no matter who each of us were picking. And then we probably would have gotten like 1 or 2 rounds of our picks in. And then we both would have been sweating to get either Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence, whoever we preferred. So I feel like they would have awkwardly been like the 6th or 7th picks in the draft.
I would have waited till you made the pick. I would not have taken one before you.
Yeah. I would have taken Hurts then. It sounds like I would have taken Hurts before you would have taken Lawrence.
That's probably fair. I mean, obviously Hurts is ahead of Lawrence right now. There is no arguing against that. So that's very fair.
Right. So 2 wide receivers left. I already have Jamar Chase. The next 2 wide receivers I'm going to go with are Devontae Smith and T. Higgins. So those are the 3 wide receivers that I'm going to have here. It is crazy looking at the amount of wide receiver talent that we still have. And we still have a skill position player to select. So I'm not going to say the other names, because you now get to start with 2 players. So you get to snake here on the reserve, since I got the number 1 overall pick in this draft. But Higgins and Devontae Smith, again, 2 guys who have fully arrived, I think, within their abilities. T. Higgins would be a wide receiver 1 on maybe half the teams in the league, I think, outside of Cincinnati, that already has Jamar Chase. I'm sorry to T. Higgins that he still can't get away from Jamar Chase here in this very exercise. But Devontae Smith, kind of the same way, man. If Devontae Smith were on a handful of different teams in the NFL, he'd probably be their wide receiver 1. But A.J. Brown is there. So A.J. Brown, I think, is going to get a little bit more looks than him. But it was certainly a 2-headed attack there in Philadelphia. So Smith and Higgins to round out my team.
All right. Now we get into the reserves. In the reserves category, we have it as skill player, offensive lineman, box player, coverage player.
Yep.
My first pick is my box player. I'm going with Joshua Uche.
Oh, he was next. He's next on my big board.
Uche is great pass rusher.
Okay.
Obviously, I got Jalen Phillips and Micah Parsons as my rushers. But Uche, before I took Jalen Phillips, there was part of me that was like, do I wait? Because I will happily have Josh Uche be the other guy. And then I decided to take Phillips because I think his projection for me in 2023 is so high. Mm-hmm. I'm really happy about still getting Uche. I mean, that's somebody that if you're rotating him into rush in this scenario.
Nasty. Your edge rushers are filthy with Parsons, Phillips, and Uche.
That's filthy. A dream right there. My reserve offensive lineman
Ooh.
I'm going to take Christian Darrisaw.
You son.
You can rage quit if you want.
That was the obvious though. Like that was the one there. Now there are a couple of players that I'm obviously pumped to still pick to get as reserve players, but Darrisaw had an elite.
He was phenomenal
pass blocking grade last season. He was incredible. He took a massive step forward last year. So getting him makes total sense. Yeah. All right. Well, skill position players. So I can go tight end, which I literally don't have any on my big board because I only listed off Kyle Pitts and Pat Freiermuth because I wasn't going to take another one. Wide receiver, there's a ton of guys to choose from.
Oh, yeah. Wide receiver's a dream.
Coverage player. You took Diggs, didn't you?
I did take Diggs.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna take AJ Terrell.
Nice. That was my next pick.
I mean, I have to. He was absolutely locked down 2 years ago, and like I said, struggled last year, but coverage is up and down anyways. I hope it's much closer to the one 2 years ago than the one last year, and I think that will be the case with a much better defense around him. So I'll go AJ Terrell as my reserve coverage player.
Okay.
And then skill position. I'm going to break your heart. I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it's smart. It's a good pick.
I'm going to go Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, it's a great pick.
Yeah, I was very afraid that you were going to take Garrett Wilson with
the reason I didn't
this first time around.
The reason I didn't is because I was okay with him or Amon-Ra St. Brown as my reserve skill guy.
Sure.
But it's a great pick.
Yeah.
He won offensive rookie of the year with Zach Wilson, Mike White, Joe Flacco, and Chris Trevor.
All due respect.
All due respect to that lovely crew of four.
So, okay. So you're taking St. Brown then as your skill position player?
Amon-Ra St. Brown is my skill guy.
Yep.
Asante Samuel Jr. as my coverage player.
Nice. That's good.
Voila.
All right. My O-lineman, Ike Ekwonu.
Nice.
I think I have to go with Icky here. And then box player. Not gonna pick an interior defensive lineman. Not gonna pick a linebacker.
How old is Roy Lopez?
I don't know how old Roy Lopez is, actually.
He's 25. He graduated.
Damn. Good for him, though.
Damn, he turns 26 in August. Happy early birthday to Wa Lopez.
I'll go Kayvon. I'm gonna go Kayvon too, though.
Nice.
As my box player here.
All right.
Yeah, there we go. You wanna list off your team while I finish?
Yes.
Right in mine.
Sure. So at quarterback, I got Bryce Young. Running back, Jonathan Taylor. My wide receivers are Justin Jefferson and CD Lamb. My tight end is Pat Freiermuth. My flex player is Jalen Waddle. We are obviously living in 11 personnel. My tackles are Tristan Wirfs and Rashawn Slater. My interior offensive line is Quinn Miners at guard and Elijah Vera Tucker at guard with Tyler Linderbaum at center. My pass rushers on the edge are Jalen Phillips and Micah Parsons. My interior defensive linemen are Christian Barmore and Milton Williams. My off-ball linebackers are Nick Bolton and Jack Campbell. My corners on the outside are Sauce Gardner and Patrick Surtain II. My slot corner is Trevon Diggs. My safeties are Kyle Hamilton and Cam Curl. My reserve skill player is Amon-Ra St. Brown. My reserve offensive lineman is Christian Darrisaw. My reserve pass rusher box player is Josh Uche. And my reserve coverage player is Asante Samuel Jr.
It's a damn good team, but full bias involved. I think my team's a little bit better. I got Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. I got Bijan Robinson at running back. My three wide receivers that I'm going to play are Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, and T. Higgins. And then when I want to get the tight end involved, just throw Kyle Pitts out there just to be casual about it. My offensive tackles, I got Andrew Thomas and Penei Sewell. Interior offensive lineman, we got Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, and Tyler Smith. We got Smith and Humphrey, the law firm. Interior defensive lineman, pretty pumped about this one. I think this is a difference-making group for all you people who are trying to vote out there. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. Edge rushers, I got Aiden Hutchinson and Chase Young. Linebackers, Nakobe Dean and Devin Lloyd. Secondary, I got Tyson Campbell and Tariq Woolen playing on the outside with J.C. Horn roaming around playing whoever's going to play in the slot on the inside. Then my safety is I got Javon Holland at free safety and Talanoa Hufanga at strong safety reserves. Skill player, I got Garrett Wilson. Offensive lineman, I got Ike Ekwonu. I think he's got that in and out versatility. Kayvon Thibodeau is my box player to throw in there as a good pass rusher. And then my coverage player is AJ Terrell. There we go. Let us know whose team you guys think.
How about this? Do you want to run the ball or do you need Law, Smith, and Humphrey?
Yes.
Done.
Yes.
Oh,
we need
man.
these shirts. See, like if we had merch for this show,
we wouldn't have to do the show anymore.
That's the show.
We just make all our money off stupid merch.
We need to get in on that, man. We need to get in. We need to make like hats and stuff, and we need to like do funny shirts and stuff like that. Okay, this is. I'm going to talk to somebody about this. All right. So you guys, let us know who you think won and why. Let us know what you think was the biggest reach of the draft. Let us know what you think was the biggest steal of the draft, whose offense is better, whose defense is better, and how you would have gone about this differently. This is an exercise that obviously we're doing here on this podcast between the two of us, but we know y'all have awesome takes and opinions on these under 25 players, so we would love to hear from you. Best way to do that is on the YouTube channel. If you're watching this already on YouTube, if you don't already subscribe to the channel, please do so. We would really appreciate it. Hit the video with a like as well, and then get in on the comments. It's the best way to get in on the conversation. We love reading them. We know the other listeners love to read them as well. It's a full draft community here on the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. If you are audio only, you can hit us up on Twitter at Tampa Bay Trey, at Connor J. Rogers, both on Twitter and Instagram. Give us your thoughts on the pod, and we'll relay some of those in both the YouTube comments and when we kind of come back to this show and get to revisit it. But I think, like I said, what we're going to do is to set up the vote. Should we do let's do the vote. Okay, we'll do the vote because I would love to see what people think of which team is better. And then if somebody out there wants to throw these two teams into Madden and send us the screenshots of the stats and who won, who lost, all of that, we would absolutely love you once again for doing that, just like last year.
Wouldn't it? We're gonna have to like really figure this out. It would be incredible if we did a stream of us watching the game.
Oh,
but it's gonna take we're gonna need a couple of weeks here.
That's good content, though.
Maybe when we're back from vacation, because spoiler alert, and we're not going to stop posting episodes. We'll just pre-tape our shows.
I will never stop posting.
I will never log off ever. But maybe it's something fun we could do like a little before training camp gets going underway, a couple of weeks before camp.
Dude, that is a great idea. That's a great idea.
It would be very,
because it'd just be like an hour-long stream, and we could probably do it on StreamYard, I think. Anyway, all right. So we'll plan this outside of the show. I know, sacrilegious.
Yes, like actual functioning adults, which we are not at all.
We'll figure all that out. But buddy, anything else before we get out of here?
No, fun show. Love this show. It is I don't know, man. It's such a good exercise because it just reminds you of how much young talent is in the league. Yeah. You're like, oh, that guy's not 25 yet. Like,
right.
And the strategy, obviously, you and I we're obsessed with strategy when it comes to football, and that's a huge part of it. So it's cool. I'm really enjoying that we have franchises that we're running back. Like we did these all last year. Yeah. And the audience, thank you to you guys, received them so warmly that we're continuing to do them and building off other years, and it's just cool to watch this show and the community grow.
Yep. I couldn't have said it better myself. So if you guys follow the show on Twitter, that's where we're going to put the poll for you guys to vote on whose team you think would win, going head up against each other. And we'll probably keep that up for a little bit. If you don't follow the show on Twitter, I believe it's at PFF_NFLSE. That's where you can follow the show and get to see where that is. All right, I'm going to go take a shower now because I'm sitting in a pool of my own sweat from all the stress from this show. But I'm Trevor Sikkema. That's Connor Rogers. Thank you guys so much for watching the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. We'll see you next time.